All right. All right. Make sure chat is set up the right way. Everyone. Good, 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 good. And Scott, you sent out the promo again an hour ago, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, good. Okay. Content media central. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. And we have chat open. So
We are now live on YouTube.
nice. All right. We'll get started in about 2 minutes. And if you're joining right now, you get a little bit of sneak peek. So we have Danielle Ribeiro with us, and she is one of our expert instructors at Fuel, and does a phenomenal job in so much of the mindset area and the health and wellness area, and really just prepping you to have the mind and the attitude and the commitment to be your best version of yourself. So I know we have a couple minutes before we go live, but we'll do this again in about a minute. Thank you if you're on YouTube Live and seeing the stream, and thank you for joining if you are joining direct on the Fuel platform through Zoom. We do Leadership Live every single Wednesday. It's my first time back. I was in Australia for 28 days, and we have officially launched Fuel in that country. Amazing trip. Met with 31 business leaders, and probably those 31 business leaders have influence over about 5 million people. So it was a very good trip. And I was telling Danielle something early on when we were just having a prep call that I had a chance to demo Fuel from stage to an audience of about 700 people. And I was just showing a couple of the courses, and I went to Danielle's course on one of her meditation courses on attracting $1 million clients. And it was profound to watch 700 people in an audience as I'm the keynote speaker, listening to one of our instructors just go and talk. And it was beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So Danielle, it's great to have you with us. And I know we're going to have a robust hour with you, and excited. What
So
was your
excited.
thought this morning when you awakened?
I was excited. I was like, wow, today's the day.
Today's the
Todd and
day.
I get to have a conversation in front of this amazing community. Yeah, I was
Uh,
excited. Definitely.
I think every day is a day to be excited about. Some days are harder than others, but I'll tell you, one of the things I'm um, most clear on, I think, is intention, right? And intention, and Deb and I, my wife and I, always have a conversation about everything always works out for us, and that doesn't mean everything's always easy, but we have to have the mindset that allows us to really tap into that. And I know we're going to be going into this concept, which is really powerful, called leading from the inside out. And I have my own description of what that means, but I thought what we would do as we get started is just brevity. I don't want you to teach yet, but just what should everybody, as we begin to engage the chat, what should everybody be aware of before you and I start dialoguing, just on that concept from the inside out?
So, the thing that they need to be aware of is intention, really being intentional about what your plans are for the day, where you want to go, what you want to achieve, how you want to get there. Intention is the first step. You need to set an intention and you need to clearly visualize what that looks like. I can't hear you.
As we engage in chat, go ahead and let Danielle and I know where you're coming in from today. I know you on YouTube Live, you might be able to put some comments in too. I'm not sure, but where are you coming from? I'm in Laguna Beach, California. Danielle, where are you today?
I am coming from my house in Connecticut.
Connecticut, coast to
Yes,
coast, coast to
yes,
coast.
East Coast girl, born and raised.
Born and raised, born and raised, born and
Yes,
raised.
yes.
All right,
Georgia.
we got
Hi,
Georgia.
Carmi. How are you?
Let's keep this flowing for about 30 seconds, guys. Let us know where you're from, and we're gonna have time for Q&A today with Danielle. And we always make Leadership Live engaging. It's about tactics that you can take away and begin to use immediately, and whatever you want to do in business and life. And as I said at the very, very start, if you were joining us on the kind of conversation, I think the world is our oyster. I think there's so many opportunities for us. And today, when we talk about leading from the inside out, one of the things that I believe in is how we perform on the outside has everything to do to how we manage and master the inside game, right? And the inside game is everything that doesn't reflect. It's like you and I can be sitting down with each other, and my inside game could change the dynamic of our conversation, but you would not know that I have changed my inside game. And Danielle's an expert in this concept of leading from the inside out. So as we get going, I've got you on chat, and we've got this dialogue that we're ready to start. And so, Danielle, give everybody a sense of your background. You've been in corporate leadership for a long time, and you're a specialist in the areas that we're going to be talking about. Give everybody a quick bio on yourself, and
Sure.
then we'll jump into the first question.
Yes. So I am an inner work and success strategist, and I have spent the last 20 plus years of my life working on my inner and outer game. So, inner work, I have learned and have a plethora of certifications in Reiki and natal chart interpretation, hypnotherapy, NLP, all the things that really help with the inside challenges that we all go through. So, finding tips, tricks, and tools, leadership development, all the good stuff. Now, on the outside, my business mind, I spent 20 years in corporate America, working and building my expertise as a sales rep. I started off as a sales rep 20 years ago for a dental manufacturing company. I worked my way up the corporate ladder, and I became a regional manager for this company. I handled all of the Northeast. I had 9 reps that reported to me, and it was a multi-million dollar region. My inner work, my inner game was what brought me to my outer success. Really learning how to dive into some of the challenges that we go through, imposter syndrome, monkey mind, limiting beliefs, self-doubt, all the stuff that, especially as a leader, because you're put in these challenging positions on a very regular basis. So all of those challenges, it allowed me all the inner work and all the studying and learning and developing that I did and the inside really helped me to be a successful leader on the outside and guide individuals to get to where they want to go in a more mindful way.
See, that's the key right here, in a more mindful way. And just on the preamble, we were talking about this powerful word, intention. And then you just kind of drop these 6 or 7 different things that get in the way, right? Upstairs and in the heart and the soul and the mind of how we execute intention. And I think there's 2 things here I'd like to kind of go deep on. All of us at some level have games that we're playing, and I don't mean that necessarily we wake up and they're fun games. I talked to somebody the other day that he says the constant fight is the voice on the left shoulder, yelling at the voice on the right shoulder, and the voice on the right shoulder trying to reason with the voice on the left shoulder. And it's just the conversation about how the negative and positive, the optimistic, the pessimistic, the fear, the faith, all those things, they're all inner game challenges. So if you're joining us today on Leadership Live, you're a leader, which means you make changes. You're committed to personal growth. You're committed to growing those that are on your team, and really charting the course of how you lead people to a better version of themselves. So not only does this conversation with Danielle apply to you as a leader, but it also then creates a value proposition for you and everybody that is on your team. Because let's face it, culture is everything. And if you're leading people, the culture of mindset and intentionality are really, really important. Tell us some thoughts about what you actually teach around inside mastery. And I wrote in the chat, I said the inside game, and Daniel, you riffed off tips and tricks and tools to master the inside self, to optimize outside performance. Take us deep on the inside game And as people think about growth, think about like, here I am today, here's where I want to be tomorrow. What are some of the key tactics that you in your studies and certifications have shared with leaders to become first the best version of themselves, and then obviously have that waterfall cascade to their team?
So look, we all would love to just think that we could just shut our eyes and manifest anything that we want and tomorrow we'll have it, right? We would love to think that. And in a lot of ways it is possible, but there's a little bit of homework that goes alongside with that. So a lot of the tools and techniques and strategies that I teach really stem around releasing what no longer serves us so that we can make room for things that do. I am a firm believer in we need to empty the cup of all the old programming and things that have been in our way and preventing us from filling that cup with our dreams and desires. So, releasing is one of the first things that I guide my clients through, and it's very intentional and it's really important. And sometimes we get to points where it's uncomfortable. It's not easy to bring up some of the challenges and some of the life experiences that we've had and bring them to the surface and say, okay, here they are. What do I do with them? And how do I release them? And where do they go? So, by learning different tools, one of them that I love to teach is just the let go and release technique. And journaling is one of the most powerful things you could ever do for yourself. Taking a pen and putting your thoughts on paper, not typing, not voice, literally writing it out. Setting a timer for 5-10 minutes, and just first thing in the morning or right before bed, or maybe if it's heavy, both, and writing down all the things that are heavy on your heart, that are in your mind, that are preventing you from getting to the next level, that are keeping you stuck, all that stuff. Keeping you stuck. And what you do is you write it down and you know you're done when that elephant that is on your chest, the one that is heavy and making you feel like you can't move to the next step, is gone. So after that, what we do is we take that bunch of amazing dialogue and we get rid of it. We visualize ourselves literally getting rid of it. So I always say to my clients, listen, this isn't like a voodoo thing. This isn't like a little ritual. This is just literally an intention. And then visualization is one of the most powerful things you can do, because if you visually see it go away, it's gone, right? So I always say, listen, rip it up, burn it, doesn't matter, okay? Just get rid of it and then say to yourself, thank you for allowing me to remove things that no longer serve me so that I can make room for things that do. So that's a great little quick technique you guys could get into of releasing all the stuff that's been kind of holding heavy on your heart. And with my clients, it's a non-negotiable. We don't even get to the manifestation piece or the wish fulfilled piece until we start releasing. So that's one way. Another way I help clients release is through subconscious reprogramming. And we have some of this on Fuel, actually. We have a night subliminal that is awesome. But basically, that is speaking directly to your subconscious. So you're bypassing your logical mind. It's a hack.
Yes.
And a lot of clients say to me, well, why is it a whisper? I want to know what you're saying, Danielle. And I'm like, you're not supposed to know what I'm saying, because what it's doing is it's feeding your subconscious. And if we allow our logical mind to get in the way, so if I'm saying these positive affirmations to allow you to release things that are holding you back, if you heard me saying them, you'd be like, nah, I can't do that. That's impossible. No way. So it's really truly a hack. And my clients will tell you, I don't know what's going on, but I've been listening to your subliminal recordings, and like I'm not getting as agitated as I used to be. I feel really good. I wake up feeling good. Am I supposed to feel good? I'm like, well, you weren't put on this earth not to.
Well, and this is where it's at, and so if you saw me moving around, I had to move tables because some business meeting started. I'm in a hotel, and while I was doing it, I picked up my journal, which is my
Yeah,
Todd
love it.
Duncan Elite Journal. And just guys, I want to give you a validation because I was in Australia for a month and meeting clients, and we had 4 days where my wife and I just we went to a nice resort and just kind of laid low, right? And I spent one moment in the morning saying, I'm going to spend as much time as it takes this morning to do a mid-year reset. So I own part of Fuel, and Fuel was an idea that was gifted to me from the universe through COVID. And I believe that God put me in this place to, to have people like Danielle minister to all of us. And so I wrote Mid-Year Reset. I'm not doing this except to give you guys the idea that journaling is very powerful. So I wrote down, this is my new approach to peace. Number one, optimize my truest self. What is the gift in the experience? You're going to love this, Danielle. Let go of thought patterns that no longer serve me. Edit, upgrade, and then uh, edit, upgrade, and turn off that voice in the brain that says it's impossible. And then I wrote down, what if the guiding force of the universe is joy? I mean, what if we
Nice.
woke up every single day and the guiding force, and I just wrote down God equals ultimate joy. I'm a happier person when I live with a lighter touch. So I'm just expressing my
So
my
powerful.
journal
I
stuff. And
love
so
it.
number three was um, the Brett Johnson designer story. This guy designs clothes that are not for people that are fancy and rich and everything, but he wants them to feel that. And wrote down, the clothes that you wear tell the story about yourself. And it was less important about that than it was bold, confident, expressive, fun, peace, power, persuasion. And then the fourth thing I wrote down was life is
Constantly unfinished.
constantly unfinished. And I said that the higher performance thinking people understand that we all must live in the moment. So for me, to our Fuel followers, and to obviously Danielle, who I'm waking up at 2 or 3 in the morning with my earpods still in my ears after listening to her subliminal meditations. I'm sold out on the inside game. So what gets in the way? Why are people like, why don't we make time to do like what I just expressed? And how come we wake up and it's just about getting the day going and getting through however the day unfolds? What are some of the additional hacks that you teach? And if anybody has questions or comments, you can put those in the chat because we want to engage conversation with Danielle as we go forward. But I was intrigued by um, subconscious patterns. I was intrigued by self-identity and what we see when we look in the mirror, and how do we stay grounded and planted while we also then have some level of faith and vision about where we want to go? What's your experience been in that, in corporate leadership, in helping people become their best version of themselves?
The biggest thing that gets in our way is our logical mind.
Okay.
We don't, we look at it as our ego. Our ego plays a huge role in why we are stuck
Mhm.
because it allows us the openness to things that are really not going to serve us, like imposter syndrome. Let's just talk about imposter syndrome. And this is huge in leadership, huge, because most leaders are out there, C-suites, and they're always looking to elevate and grow. So a regional manager wants to be a director. Director wants to be a VP. VP wants to become, CEO. It's always just this evolution of growth. And we put all of this pressure on ourselves to be extraordinary. And then we will be sitting in a situation or in a boardroom and we see somebody who comes in and they just, in our mind, have it down pat. So it messes with our subconscious terribly. So ego is a huge problem. So what I always talk about within, within some of my clients' sessions is stay in your protection, stay in your bubble, stay in your lane, and really truly know that you are the best version of yourself when you are authentic. We get so hung up on being somebody that we're not just because we think that that's what everybody wants. Listen, I was always kind of the one that ruffled the feathers in corporate. I always kind of questioned the status quo. I followed my intuition. Did it get me in trouble sometimes? Of course it did. But I always tried really hard to stay true to who I was. And when there were opportunities for me to evolve and grow within the organization, some of them were aligned with me and some of them were not. And I got to a point where I said, you know what? Now it's time for me to really thrive and be my true 100% my true authentic self, but I need to do that on my own. I need to branch away. I need to walk away from corporate America. And I'm not saying corporate's a beautiful place. I mean, it's a stable place for a lot of individuals. It brings financial stability, it brings a lot of wonderful things, growth.
Yeah.
But for me, it wasn't serving. So it's all about understanding that by hacking your subconscious and getting past some of those limiting beliefs and imposter syndrome and coming and showing up as your true authentic self, that's where you shine. And we're so scared, most of us, to do that. I'd like to know how many of you feel like you're putting on a mask every day you get in the car or you turn on turn on your laptop for the day, get in your office, and you're like, okay, I have 15 meetings today, and I have to talk to this one and that one. Okay, let me put my mask on. See, when you're living your true authentic self, you don't have to do that. You still come up showing up, yeah, showing up as who you are, and that's incredibly powerful.
So I'm just sitting here thinking, and I'd like you guys to let's just all be honest. Is there part of you that feels that you have to conform with the culture in which you exist, or do you wake up and it's everything from imposter syndrome to posing to letting fear run what you say yes to and what you say no to? Just put a why in there if you encounter this. Just give us a why, and if you have this figured out, give us an N, which is no. Is there a better version of you that can come from the inside out to create a better world for you, both professionally and personally? If the answer is yes, then just put a Y in real quick. Everybody that can just give us some answers to this, because I wrote in nonconformity is the breakthrough that often is our friend.
It is.
Nonconformity. I got a lesson early on, Danielle. You've probably not heard me talk about this, but when I was 24, I'd been in the finance business for a year, and I had a mentor, and he said to me, he said, the key to success is to stick your head up above the crowd, watch the way most people are running, and turn around and just calmly walk the other way. And it was this metaphor of people running that are going the wrong way to turning around. And I even texted somebody this morning. I felt like a peaceful warrior. I knew I had to succeed in business, but I didn't have stress about it. I had peace about it. And we got a couple yeses here. Yeah, and Donnie says yes when worried about survival.
Survival. That's a powerful statement.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, Scott, can you bring Donnie in to co-host real quick and just have him give a conversation on this as we kind of roll through this, because Donnie's one of our instructors too, and obviously a student. But if Donnie can come in, that would be awesome. But let's get back to the inside game. So we do know, at least I'll put my hand up too, that I have to always remind myself this is not about the rest of the world. This is about the impact that I'm making. And I think it's fascinating when we understand, and nonconformity is not a rigid state of no. But I will tell you, releasing doesn't happen unless you say no to the things that are occupying your life and confuse you. And when you look in the mirror, you don't like what you see, not because you don't like you, although we can go that far in psychology.
Sure.
The most important person on the planet that you pour into is you.
To yourself.
And if you're not right on the inside, then you will become a conformist on the outside, which is not your pathway to leading from the inside out. Mike Woodring says can you tell your boss you are using your intuition? Show your work to those that are in the hustle, struggle mindset, corporate America. So yeah, Mike, elaborate that with everybody if you could. I'm not sure.
You can't tell your boss you are using your intuition. Right. Yeah. AI is a great tool maybe to show your work. Show your work.
Is that AI or is it Al?
I don't know. I don't know.
Let me see if Donnie's in real quick here and see if I can.
He declined the panelship, so I don't know if he's.
Oh, okay. Should I let him allow to talk, or it's no big deal?
So it's interesting because here's the thing with this. I find that when we are working for an organization and we feel like we can't be authentic, then we have to sit back and we have to think, is this the right aligned place for me? Should I continue? And I think that that's where it really comes into play. Also, coming in with doing the mindset work, and yes, of course, we can't go in and say, hey boss, I'm trusting my intuition and this is what I need to do. But in your strategy and how you handle specific situations, allowing your intuition to help guide the way is huge. And
So-
and by releasing all the things that have been preventing you from having your intuition truly open, so healing those things, working with somebody like me who is able to really, dissect and pull out exactly what's going on there so that you could come in strong and your intuition is on point, makes a world of difference. Hi, Donnie.
Hey,
Hi, Donnie.
on.
So listen to this. When you said that, Danielle, and I'll let the two Ds talk briefly. This is one of those moments where you have intuition. You just say, Donnie, come on in on this for just 5 minutes or so, and then we'll get rid of Donnie and continue our conversation. But no, it was like I was writing down that intuition that isn't released creates stress and heaviness in your own way of being. And the word that came to my mind when we talked about intuition is wisdom. And life is to be lived wisely,
Right.
and not fearfully. And
Right.
so, Donnie, what's on your heart? You're a coach and everything, and you've led Leadership Live for the last 4 weeks. Thank you very much for filling in while I was in Australia.
think it was
But
5. Yeah.
when you get another instructor on Leadership Live, and you know that his message resonates with the other instructor, Danielle, in this case that we're talking with, give us 5 minutes of Donnie Tuttle wisdom on this concept.
Listen, I'm just a fly on the wall. I love hearing Danielle. What a powerful message. I think that it's odd when we see ourselves as like separate from whatever it is that we desire. We suddenly, at least I've had this experience of like, I think I'm the same as you. When you get out of the slavery, you go back across and try to free as many other slaves as possible. But it's the whole somewhere along the lines, we all get kind of shackled with this feeling or belief that we're not enough or we're not worthy of whatever it is that we desire. And then we end up creating some persona of who it is that we have to be to have whatever it is that we think we want. And that's really what drives most of us to success. But I'm hearing you, or like you're saying, like, first off, like success, it sounds like just first off starts with authenticity and being comfortable with this person here.
It does. And it's funny because you mentioned, being truly who you're meant to be and being authentic. And that takes clarity on who that person is. Sometimes we don't know exactly who that is. Who do I want to be? Who do I want to
it's-
show up as?
Yeah.
That's a huge, huge issue for individuals. You know, it was a big issue for me. I can tell you that my pivotal moment in corporate was when I got sick. I was trying to conform.
Hmm.
And it wasn't until that moment where it physically stopped me in my tracks severely to the point where they thought I was having a stroke. Until that moment where I said, wait a second, what am I doing?
Yeah.
So
Living inauthentically isn't working any longer for me. And it wasn't that the company was bad. It's a wonderful organization. I just hadn't changed who I was as an individual.
Can
Well,
I-
and let me put this in the middle, Donnie. I know you're going to say something real quick, so hang on to
I'm
that
about to
thought.
get flushed, so my time is limited. I'm kidding. Go
No,
ahead.
no, no, no. I'm gonna give you back what I'm about to take, and double it. How's that? No, I think I want everybody to understand it matters not whether you're a solopreneur, an entrepreneur, a corporate leader. That doesn't matter as much as what matters is that you lead from the inside out and that you are a force in the culture that you allow yourself to be in. And if you're leading others, that culture is a culture that you set the tone for. And if at some point in time that culture cannot exist where you are, you have the options of working somewhere else. You have the options of going out on your own. You have all these options, right? And so the message is not that working for a company, working in a company, or being employed by a company is bad or good. Just like it doesn't matter whether you don't have a company and you're solopreneur, you still have to lead from the inside out. Period. And I think the breakthroughs come when you start to understand that my true authentic self is the best way to joy and the best way to personal fulfillment, and really purpose is about how you operate in the world in which you exchange life force for revenue, and really how you operate in the world just with life force, period, which is why I jumped to get my journal to show everybody what I did in Cairns, Australia, when I just wrote those 2 pages. So Donnie, I'm giving you minutes back.
I'm on the clock.
And then we're gonna no, because this is my intuition was let Donnie in. It wasn't let Danielle out. It was just let's amplify this, and then we'll let you go. And Danielle,
No,
but what's on your heart on this issue? Because I know you're
There
about
was
to say something.
Yeah. No, this is well for me. This is interesting because what I typed first was when I was in sales. So I was a top producing salesperson for like a dozen years, and it wasn't until we started traveling and my office was in my house back in 2016 that I realized my kids were like, Dad, what's wrong? Don't you like what you do and what's going on? And I didn't realize the price of me putting on this mask every day. I thought I had, Danielle, I thought I had to be this warrior person. In all of the personality tests that I took, I'm like, I acted like I was this type D driver person. But I realized after 3 nights of my kids asking me, like, are you okay? I realized it's not that I didn't like what I did. I just didn't like who I thought I had to be to do it.
Right.
And I wasn't really doing that good. And so I decided that night to retire the sales warrior. And I just decided I was going to be Todd. I told myself I am becoming the most joyful man I know. And that was my journey for the next year. And I called myself in sales a joyful farmer. But it's interesting. Like it took like this low moment.
Right.
Sales weren't good, and nothing was good. It took a low moment, just like your sickness, where you have to realize ultimately we're in partnership with God over what's happening here. And yes, you have a skill set, and yes, you have these things, but it's when we surrender to this identity that we were almost ashamed of, like that's actually when the magic happens. That's the only thing it's been I'm just going to listen and be a student. But thanks for thanks for letting me be a participant.
Well, we're going to say goodbye to the video of Donnie, and thank you, Donnie, for the input. You mentioned as we go back to Danielle's some of her final thoughts as we roll past this, the word surrender. And I want everybody to realize that surrender is the most powerful psychological identity that you own, because most of the outside game that you don't really want to play is a game that you're playing because you haven't surrendered. Surrendered is not giving up. Surrender is understanding that here's how you handle life and business. There's only two ways. You handle it or you don't. You learn how to say yes and you learn how to say no. And every company that employs people, and any company that some of you own yourself, is benefited when you surrender to the life forces that are actually the gift that redirect you. 3 years ago, I owned a very large coaching company, and I owned an event company. And I did that, and I loved that. And then when COVID hit, it was like, there's something bigger that I'm missing. There's a gift that I haven't seen yet, and that gift and the thing I hadn't seen yet morphed into this thing called Fuel, which now here we are in 60 countries around the world. 3 years after we started the company, and it's because of people like Danielle that are teaching us how to be better ourselves, and surrender is the only way to serenity.
It
And
is.
serenity is where true joy exists. You cannot control about 90% of the things you try to control, which is where the outside game becomes stressful, conflicting, non-joyful, and confronting. That's not how we want to live life. And a business culture is a culture where we understand that when you manage from the inside out, performance actually goes up. It
It
doesn't
does.
go down. So
That's
you
why.
have all this corporate experience, Danielle. Let's look what Mike wrote. A lot of this stuff is whoa, whoa. Showing it is not appreciated by a lot of corporate.
Right.
And
Right.
how do you go about sharing that intuition and justifying it? And so this is a two-way street. How does the leader lead up and down by leading oneself?
So this is a very, very hot topic. And, I think that corporations are waking up, which
Yeah.
is beautiful. But what I have found is the biggest gift you can ever give yourself, your teams, anybody, is coming in with a healed heart and coming in with intention. So when we have organizations that, we have high expectations, we have sales quotas to meet, we have all of these things, what happens is the control factor starts to become heavy. We start to control everything. We start to micromanage. We start to put our claws in and think that this is how we're going to force these things to happen. Guess what happens? Guess what happens? The exact opposite.
Yeah.
You end up losing incredible talent because they can't handle the constraints. You end up having individuals getting sick. You end up having sales go down. You end up having all of these negative things happen the more you try to control the outcome, try to force the outcome. So, what I've always felt works the best is starting from the top down and really going to the highest level and getting the mindset right from the top down so that it trickles down and the philosophy is the same throughout. And they feel that they have the ability to lead from intention, from an area of, true growth and living in the wish fulfilled. Because they've done the work, they've understood that you can't force people to be successful. All you're doing is you're literally repelling everybody's success, and you could in a lot of ways be destroying the organization and the people within it. So it really is important to start from the top down and get that subconscious programming in place, understand mindset mastery, release things that are no longer serving, be real with yourself. Find a success strategist where you can take that mask off and say, okay, I want to be the best version of myself. I want to lead a multi-trillion-dollar organization, but I feel like I can't do this because everything I'm trying is going the wrong way. What's going on? Well, let's dig in and let's see what's going on and let's release it so that we could bring in what you truly want. Because that is the most magical thing in the world, getting into that wish fulfilled and knowing that you can, with strategy, this isn't woo-woo, this is science. With strategy, with priming your reticular activating system, with feeding your subconscious, because how many times a day do we have all these negative thoughts in our mind? Think about it. As a CEO, the pressure of everything on the weight of the world on their shoulders. Think about that internal dialogue. What if you had something that was helping you to change that internal dialogue so that you are now raising your vibration and you are getting to an alignment with what you truly want? No, how many times have you walked into a room and you're like, ugh, it's heavy in here? That's a boardroom most days. That was my world. You know, if I was at the corporate headquarters and there was like a hot topic and you walk in, you're like, ooh, man, I feel that. Wouldn't you love to be able to walk into that room with people that are living authentically and true and have a purpose and all want to succeed and are on the same level? Watch how that vibe feels when you walk in a room like that versus the heaviness.
I think it's a very interesting to really think through this, because leading from the inside out is a commitment to self-discovery, and it is a commitment to understanding the fluidness of the journey and releasing rigidity to what seems to be how you are being navigated, not by other people's forces, but by the surprises and the things that when you start thinking intentionally and you start forgiving yourself and understanding that whatever happened yesterday is over, and the value of yesterday is the lessons I've learned and the ways that I've changed, and that I really don't have to worry about tomorrow because it's not here yet. And the idea that today matters, and then the idea of understanding that you, and when I say you, I look at anybody watching this, whether you're on YouTube Live or a replay or with us right now here on Zoom. The bottom line is, if you woke up every day starting to think, I'm a miracle, there is nobody else on the planet that is built like me, and I have unique gifts and strengths that I need to bring to the world. And when you start to understand that you have this amazing engine called you that can literally go anywhere you want at any time you want, if you start to work the inside game and you start understanding that your limits begin when your belief ends, and that the empowerment mode is believing in something bigger, better, and in the future is your magnet, as long as it's purposeful, to a better way of living. Knowing your purpose and being clear on that is also a beautiful filter on what you say no to, going all the way to the back of starting Leadership Live today, releasing, right? And I would also give you the word fluid. Fluid. Fluid doesn't mean you're a conformist. Fluid means your eyes are open to what this universe presents to you as it spins around, and as we live and breathe and hopefully enjoy this thing called life. The gift of being fluid is the gift of breakthrough. And if you're too rigid and or you're too stuck in getting managed by others, it's because you've lost your fluidity and your discernment on that fluidity. And like I wrote in my journal, there's a gift you can find every day before you probably even start work, that if you saw that gift and you were fluid to the beauty of that gift, it doesn't mean that you're multitasking and changing your goals every single day. It just means there's peace in understanding that there's gifts all day long that you can find that energize you and bring you joy. And there's also ways to say no to the drama and to the people and to the things that don't bring you joy and rob you of joy. So what is DMR? and explain that to everybody, because this is one of your specialties, and it's something that we know that as an instructor and partner in fuel that you want to bring to the rest of the fuel universe. Take everybody through a little bit of that journey and what you're doing that they can begin to participate in.
So DMR Society is my personal and leadership development agency. And I am extremely excited to be in the pre-launch of DMR Method, which is a community for high achieving individuals that are ready to work their inner game so that they show up with a solid, healed outer game and being the most productive and authentic version of themselves. Within this community, we are going to have all the tips and tricks and tools to help you there, different types of modules for every modality, meditations, affirmations, journal prompts. I will be staying very close to you guys, going live once a week. We're going to be bringing people in to educate and teach you all the tools and tricks that you need to be who you want to show up as every single day. And one of the things that I'm really excited about within this community is some of our challenges and some of the cleanses that we're going to be doing, the mental cleanses, and putting you through some we're going to start off, the initiation is a 5-day mental cleanse to get there, because I tell you, it's always about releasing. Before I could fill that cup, we need an empty cup. So we're going to do some releasing, and then also DMR personality assessment is something that I'm really proud of. This is my own version of all the amazing personality assessments out there, but this has 5 different archetypes. And within the community, one of the first things you're going to do is you're going to take the DMR assessment. And then I have meditations, affirmations, subliminals, workbooks, all the stuff built for you specific to your personality trait. So it really helps you shine and really help people see you as the true authentic self that you are. And knowing, and it's speaking directly to your specific personality and traits.
Yeah.
So,
We're all wired uniquely and differently. And one of the big things that my partner Alex and I are working on is the power of assessment tools, and how they can really become the guide to help us be our best version of ourselves. And while that is numero uno, because you have to take care of number one. Number one is not being selfish. Number one is being very, very intentional and purposeful about, you can't be to the world what you're gifted to be if you are allowing the world to conform you. It doesn't mean you're a renegade. It doesn't mean you're a rogue. It could mean that you have elements of just discernment that are unique and different from conformity. And that's why when I was 24, stick your head up above the crowds, watch the way everybody's running, turn around and walk peacefully the other way, was probably the biggest gift I ever got. And today we look at DMR and we look at how to align your inside game with your God-given DNA to your outside world, which is the world that best suits your internal DNA personality that you can't change. I mean, it is your natural style. And why I brought up the word fluid is the more that you align every single day and every moment of the day with your natural style, it's a power move that gives you unlimited possibilities. I'm not talking about power in a negative word. I'm talking about horsepower, your personal horsepower, to go the places you want to go for the reasons you want to go there and enjoy that. There's this interesting thing that when you align your outside world with your gifted zone, you don't work.
you don't.
There's no such thing as a job. And when you think that way, Danielle, it's like I go from effort to, I guess, in an extreme, effortless. People say, how long did it take for you to become a great speaker? And I said, not very long. And they go, well, why was it so fast? And I said, because my dad told me that I was a great communicator, and that if all I did was spend my life communicating, it'd be the most natural and powerful thing I've ever done. Do I learn how to be a better storyteller? Yes. Do I learn how to be a better communicator from stage? Yes. But when you align the outside world with your gifted zone, what you are naturally wired to do well, you don't work. And then life works because that tension is gone and the self-trust is back. We had a lot of dynamic conversation during these 45 minutes so far about this word alignment. And what is your viewpoint as you look at that, as you look at DMR? We'll talk a little bit how people can get on your waiting list for DMR, but um, how important is alignment?
It's everything. It's everything. You brought up a really solid point. When you love what you do, you're not working. It's not work. You know, I didn't realize that until I became an entrepreneur, started my own business, helping people and being there, being a servant, because I have a servant soul. That's who I am. That's what I do. That makes me the happiest. And when I started to realize that this is what life is truly about, and aligning, I say to everybody, I manifested this. I knew, I saw it. I saw where I wanted to be, and I put myself in that vibration and that energy. And it's possible, 100% possible. We are all testaments to that. It's just a matter of believing and being intentional and showing up authentic and doing the work. It is, there's work, but I say that loosely because it's really just about bringing something to the surface and allowing it to heal and allowing it to be said and allowing it to release so that you can bring in what you want. It really is the wish fulfilled. Joe Dispenza is like, I adore that man. And I have been a student of Joe Dispenza for the past, I think, 7, 8 years. And really, everything that he teaches is exactly how I live my life because it works. Being intentional, really aligning yourself.
We are in this field of abundance, everybody, and when you start to align the outside world with the inside game of abundance, you change everything on the outside. I'm going to show you something because I was at the age of 32. I was in a seminar with a very large audience. I was a participant sitting in the row, taking notes like we've all done when we go to seminars. And I had one of these moments of fluidness, right? And I had helped almost 6,000 people finance real estate. And the guy from the stage was talking about this concept called right livelihood. And right livelihood is the alignment of your gifts with your vocation. And I won't spend a lot of time on this because we don't have the time, but I will tell you that the moment that everything shifted for me was when I stayed around and had a conversation with him, and I was talking to him about moving from being a mortgage broker and helping people finance real estate to teaching people how to do what I had done. And we had this beautiful conversation, and the hotel happened to be connected to a mall. And this is what I'm talking about when I talk about fluidness. So the mall was connected to the hotel. When I was leaving to go to the parking lot to get in my car, I walked past a bookstore, and out in front of the bookstore was this book. And I looked at it, and this book is 40 years old. Do what you love and the money will follow, discovering your right livelihood. So the instructor is talking about right livelihood. I walk out of the hotel. I'm going to my car. There happens to be a bookstore en route, and this is the book out on the display in front of the bookstore. And I read that book and I started my company, and now we're approaching 10 million clients that we've influenced around the world. But that's the serendipity of fluidness. When all of a sudden something shows up and it's an affirmation about a direction that affirms your intuition.
Correct.
And-
And you followed it. And you
Right.
followed it. That's the most important piece because we are given all these signs all the time.
Yeah.
My gosh, I was given so many signs. I should have started my business probably 5 years before I did. But do we take those signs? What do we do with those signs, right? So that's a perfect example of not only seeing it, identifying it, but trusting that this is a sign and I'm going to trust my intuition and I'm going to catapult.
Yeah.
That is powerful.
Why do stop signs exist, right? And the stop sign, if you run a stop sign, you could have severe collateral damage. And then the metaphor in life is the stop sign is there for a reason. And when we don't acknowledge things to not do, to things that we should stop, to clear the canvas, to paint what John Wooden talked about, the masterpiece of your life. Um, to do that and to stop when the stop sign says stop, and if it happens again, stop. And then 5 years later, Danielle, you finally saw stop enough where you said, I'm done, and you decided to go the route you were going. When we look at yellow, we look at a traffic signal. Red means stop, yellow means warning, be cautious, green means go. And the true go in life is when you understand that your ego can go far, but when you drop the E from ego, you can really go to the end of what you were wired and gifted and built to do.
Amen.
So I would like to, in our final 4 or 5 minutes here, how do people engage with you outside of Fuel? And if you have not gone into Fuel and led your team through some of these discussions that Danielle's content is around, I mean, we're so about the inside game first, and that's why Danielle is so important to be on Leadership Live today. And Alex Sabag and Ali, we've got some really great powerhouses that are teaching all about this kind of how do we tackle this beautiful universe that we live in to have joy and happiness. And stuff happens. I won't quote the bumper sticker from the 70s, but stuff happens, and you either manage it or you don't. You let the stuff that happens define you or redefine you. And usually it's the redefining that is the gift. So Danielle put some links in here, and you can go to dmrsociety.com, just check it out. And I just want to tell everybody that being in business, selling candy at age 8, and now leading a global education and personal development company, the joy of having conversations with our instructors like we've had today with Danielle is the gift to all of you, that every week you get an opportunity to ratchet up. Every week you get a chance to become a better version of you. Give us a recent success story from a client to kind of end our time together here. And if you have any questions, you can post them right now. I don't see any questions in the Q&A box, but if you have questions for Danielle, put them in the chat. But give us a story of a before and after of somebody that you've led through the processes that you are certified in master and have achieved mastery in teaching others.
So one of the biggest successes, I mean, we've had some great successes so far, but this one really stands out. I have a client who was really struggling she was building a social media presence and she was really struggling to succeed. She wanted to start selling products on social media, and she kept saying, I feel like I'm stuck somewhere. I know I can do this. I see it. I just feel stuck. So we worked through some of the challenges that she had, and she started to do the work with the subliminal recordings. I built her some specific meditations according to her archetype, and we did some distant Reiki sessions on her, just really starting to work. We worked through a game plan, again, according to her archetype. She called me and she said, I know we don't have a session until next week, but I just had a $15,000 day. And I said, you did? And she said, I had a $15,000 day. She said, I can't even believe that this happened. She's like, I just went on live and I started selling. And she said, and it just blew up. And then she said, and then, I talked to her in our next session, which was a few weeks later. She's like, Danielle, I'm having like repeat success every single week. And this isn't just like one or two little outliers. This has been going on for months. She is just growing and growing and growing. It's just once you get yourself out of that mindset that you are not capable and you put yourself in that wish fulfilled that you truly can have what you want, as long as you can visualize it and you get really crystal clear on what it is that you want, that's where she was hung up. She wasn't clear.
Yeah.
Was not clear. So once we got her clear, wow, did the floodgates open.
I look at this word focus when you say clear, and I look at clarity as the platform and the benchmark for focus, and then I also look at focus as the way to exponentially increase your experience and results in life. And what I can tell you is, I tell everybody this, and we're all prone to this. We get pulled in directions that take us out of focus.
Yes.
And when you're purposeful and you align your outside intention with your inside why, then you have the ability to not only have clarity, but here's the other piece of it. Most of the clarity we gain is not optimized if we don't simultaneously execute the courage that it takes to go in that direction. And courage and faith, instead of doubt and fear, are the two most profound motivational experiences you will have in your life as you pursue these things that are gifts to you, that are the universe and this world and your higher power and God and all that saying, this is where you should be going.
Yes.
So let's pay attention to the outside world and balance this art of conformity and non-conformity to you're the gift, you're the miracle, your best life exists if you're clear and you have courage and you understand why you're doing what you're doing. And I'm just going to tell you again, there's at least 10 nights in the last 30 nights traveling and being in Australia and spending time in that entire country launching fuel where I've fallen asleep, reprogramming my mind with Danielle. And when you wake up with your pods in your ears at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m., you fell asleep to something that was just, I mean, just powerful, and you didn't even know it was powerful as you did it. You trusted it and went through it. So it's fun to be an owner of fuel and to have relationship with our instructors like you, Danielle, where I'm actually using my own company. Alex, I use our app to be our best versions of ourselves.
Absolutely.
And so a final thought that you want to give everybody is, as we wrap up today, we got like 40 seconds, a final thought, a bolt of wisdom from Danielle, what to think about for the rest of the day as we end Leadership Live today.
So here's my final thought. I want everybody to go into the mirror at some point today and say, I am a true magnet to all great things.
I am a true magnet.
To all great things. And I
true...
want you to sit there and I want you to look yourself in the eyes and I want you to believe it. And I want you to feel it. That's what I want. That's my gift to you.
All right.
Yes.
Danielle, so great to hang out with you. Thanks for being part of
Yes.
our amazing instructor faculty. And more important than being an instructor is your heart for others and your true desire to see others really attain their best versions of themselves. And spending an hour with our tribe. It's beautiful to
I
hang out
loved
with
every
you.
minute
And
of it.
yeah.
Thank you so
So,
much.
guys, if you haven't
Wonderful
watched
day.
or listened to any of Danielle's courses, go there. It's I'm just going to tell you, I'm sold out on what she does and the reason she does it. And I will just tell you, as a guy that's been blessed with the opportunity to speak from stage for 30 years and to influence people to their best life, life changes when you decide to change. And the gift that I want to give you as I close is one thing can change everything. And I'm going to encourage you as you think about today and as you think about your intuition and as you think about your gifts, I'm gonna encourage you to take one more step in the direction you know is the change you need to make, and try to experience the value and the blessing of taking that step. And then as soon as you feel that blessing, take the next step, and you can create and paint any picture you want on this canvas we call life. And joyful to be with you, Danielle. Thank you
That was
so much.
great. Thank you, everybody.
Yep.
Thanks.
See you next week on Leadership Live, same time, same channel, and we will continue our journey helping you be the best leader you can be. Thanks.
Bye.
What a dynamic hour. Wow.
Was it good?
No,
I thought it was
good.
great.
No, it's so good. And when you get corporate people that get a chance to put input in and everything, it's beautiful. And yeah, this is my heart. And there's still people hanging out. We got 8 people on, they can still hear us, but it's like, this is my heart. It's like, if people can really tap in and understand the inner soul. My father-in-law is 83 years old. He plays tennis, singles tennis, every single day of the week. And he said the book that got him very excited about tennis was the book on the inside game of tennis. And it was, and then you look at any of these great tennis players, and there was an Instagram post that went viral about 2 weeks ago from a guy that was interviewing the top 30 tennis players in the world. And the top 5 had a strategy that they deployed after every shot. So they win a point, they don't win a point. They had a strategy for managing the mindset right in that moment. And it's not
That's
ironic
amazing.
that these 5 were in the top, I don't know, 20 in the world or something like that. So
So
business is a sport.
and what I love about that is the fact that, most athletes are taught that they have to play the game in their mind before they even go out
Yeah.
on the court, field, doesn't matter. So it's really just a game of the mind. Everything that we
Yeah.
do is
All right,
powerful.
100%.
Mhm.
And I told somebody yesterday, I said, one of the great questions you can ask anytime, at any moment, on any given day, about any situation, if you don't like what's happening, is what's good about this? And if you can find some goodness in something, it helps at least modulate how it impacts your psychology. And if you say nothing is good about this, then that can be negative, or it can be a stop sign. I can't find anything good about this, so therefore then I'm going to try to prevent this by being proactive with some kind of
Pivot.
inside game strategy.
Pivot.
So
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Amazing stuff.
All right. You're the best. And thank you, Scott, if you're still on. And if 7 of you are still listening, it might be me, Danielle, Donnie, Scott, and Peter. But blessings, Danielle. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I loved every minute of it too.